G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Armoured Warfare with Mags. It's been a while since I covered this, since I did my first impressions. I've actually been staying away from Armoured Warfare since I did those first impressions. Not because I didn't like what I saw or I didn't enjoy myself while I was playing the game, but mainly because I didn't want to burn myself out on the game before it even had a chance to get released. But the time has come to return. At the moment there is a final stress test being run, and the plan I believe is within the next week to 2 weeks, Armoured Warfare is going into open beta.
Affirmative. Gunner, scan for target. Affirmative. Driver, move out.
So what, if anything, has changed with Armoured Warfare since I did my first impressions on the game? For those of you who saw that first impressions, you'll recall that I had a few issues with the game regarding netcode and a few other problems that I considered to be fairly urgent in regards to gameplay. Well, I'm happy to report that pretty much all of those problems have been corrected. In fact, there's only 2 issues that I have with the game at this time, and neither one of them I think are really a problem. Now, the first one was a small balance issue. You'll notice on the team scores left and right showing the allied team and the opposing team that this is a tier 1 battle. This includes entry-level armoured fighting vehicles. But the top end vehicle on the enemy team is a 4, the highest level vehicles on the allied team are level 3s. So that's 4 levels above the entry level vehicle on a game that only has 10 levels worth of tanks. This did generate a little bit of concern for me until I thought about it. At the moment, Obsidian Entertainment is running a stress test of Armoured Warfare. As a result, they want the maximum number of players in both teams. In that environment, it makes sense that you do away with gameplay to complete the test and increase the matchmaking bracket in order to fit more people into the matches so you can perform your stress tests and get the data that you need. It's making for some interesting battles during the stress test, but I don't think it's going to be a problem come game release. Now, the second problem I had was optimization. The frame rate is not incredibly high. At the moment, I'm holding just above 30 with drops to just below 30 on most maps. Some maps get up around 40. There is a couple of maps, newer ones that I'd never seen before logging on today, that seem to have frame rate drops down to around 25 to 20. Optimization is not great on a lot of the maps at this point in time, but optimization again is the last thing you do before you send your game live. I imagine this stress test will be completed, then Obsidian will go through and clean up all their code, optimize out the maps, and then we will get the open beta release. So again, I'm not concerned about optimization, especially not during the closed beta period. If we get into the open beta and we're still having massive issues with frame rates on maps, God, that 20mm is loud in comparison to the game sound. Yeah, as I was saying, if we get into the open beta and we're still having an issue, I'll be a little bit more concerned. At this point, I'm not. I expect optimization will be done before the game goes into open beta release. So, that's my only 2 negatives about the game, which are really not all that much at this point. So, now I can skip on and actually talk about the fun stuff. The gameplay is great. The match you're watching at the moment, I'm driving out the LAV-150. It's armed with a 20mm autocannon. It's an infantry support vehicle which I'm using as a scout within Armoured Warfare. I've actually rushed into the centre of this match and I'm spending most of my time just juking in my way around the outside of this large rock towards the centre of the map, as this gives me visual coverage of the cap zone in the centre of the map, lets me see all the passes that the enemies are coming in through, and allows me to see targets on the other side of the map that are trying to flank around. Now, the LAV-150 has pretty much no armour. Everything in the game can penetrate it from almost any angle, but it does have a very punchy 20mm autocannon. Providing I hold at this position, keep an eye on everything that's going on around me and don't let myself get killed by incoming fire, I can provide supporting fire to almost 2/3 of the map from this location. Now, I consider all of this pretty important for this vehicle at the moment because this is actually the second time ever driving it and it's still stock. Now, I do actually have to make a quick mention of how well Obsidian have modelled the driving mechanics for these wheeled armoured fighting vehicles and tank destroyers. They do not drive like tanks. They drive like cars. You turn the wheel, they want to go around. You can't turn them on the spot like you would a tank or half-tracks or any other vehicles in most other games. These things handle like real cars, which is why you'll notice me doing a lot of 3-point turns around this rock to juke into position. I cannot traverse the vehicle without moving forward and backwards. I have to drive it around like I would drive my personal car around. It would have been very easy for Obsidian to just make them handle like any other tank destroyer or a half-track. I think it was a nice touch, them having basically their own driving model and how they operate. Just trying to put penetrating shots into the side of the turret of this Patton 48. Unfortunately, I seem to be a little far down range. Penetration has failed me, but the Patton 48 has ducked in behind cover, which has allowed me to come around the other side of the rock and see whether or not I can actually get a firing solution on these tanks over the far side of the map. Again, they look like they're out of range. Patton 48 has come out. Oh, and he is looking for a piece. Quickly back up, keeping that small shed in between his gun and me until I can get down the other side of this hill to provide me with some cover. And I'm just keeping an eye on him at the moment, just waiting for him to actually turn his turret in a different direction so I can poke over the ridge line and start putting shots in again. And no need to mind about him, he got taken out. And at this point we're 8-3 our favour. There's no point hiding around the cap circle anymore, keeping a scout out. Time to go active, start looking for the remaining tanks on the enemy team, although it looks like most of them have already been located. There's definitely one spotted down south. I'm expecting the rest will probably be there as well. And another tank has gone down. This leaves 2 T-54s on the enemy team, and that's it. Now at this point I decided I was actually going to go all in and try and take on one of these T-54s just down the hill. I really should have thought about this better. This 20mm autocannon is really good for taking out other scouts, but in stock format with only standard shells, that T-54 may as well have been a mouse. There was no way I was penning it. Thankfully, I didn't need to. Let's go check out the results. So 3,880 experience points and 107,640 credits on a standard account, no premium, on my daily double. Only 892 damage total, which isn't great, but then again it's a 20mm cannon, and a stock 20mm cannon at that, with stock ammunition on a stock tank, so that's probably not too bad. Spotted 7 vehicles though, so I did well there, with 3 kill assists. It's a shame scouting doesn't seem to reward all that much at the moment, so I didn't wind up near the top, although, then again looking at the team, the Leopard 1 and the T-62 in first and second place, and then you got the Patton 48 in third. The only thing I'm surprised about is the Era 4 or Tier 4 tank destroyer on the enemy team actually didn't do all that great. He must have got targeted and singled out early. And I've got to say right now, I love this. Statistics everywhere. All the information for the battle on that last page. It's great to have a read through. And it looks like my tank commander's leveled up as well. So this is the tech tree for the skills for the tank commander. I'm still not entirely sure whether or not you can pick all of the skills if you can earn enough points to do so, or whether or not you can only pick one at each tier. I assume it would be only one at each tier, but I could be wrong. Regardless, I think I'm going to set this commander up as a snipey commander, although it doesn't really matter because once the stress testing has completed this weekend, all the accounts will be wiped prior to the release of open beta. Although I understand that once open beta comes out, there will be no wipes from that point on. So from that point, everybody gets to start grinding for real. So anyways, ladies and gents, just a quick video at this time of me coming back and taking another look at Armoured Warfare. Now that it's coming into open beta, I expect to see this on the channel a lot more often. I really have enjoyed playing this game. I know tank games with health bars are not everybody's cup of tea, but I look at it this way, it's a game, and it's not trying to be anything but a fun game, and that's exactly what it is, so I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Anyways, ladies and gents, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, drive smart, drive safe, and I'll catch you on the battlefield.